And the beauty of this process is that, with time and intention, you can start to rewrite the story. You can replace the narrative that says, I am this hurt person, with one that says, I am healing, I am growing, I am evolving. Each time you face a trigger, each time you choose to respond in a way that's grounded in the present moment, you shift the story. You break free from the grip of the past and move one step closer to the person you are becoming. It's not an easy path. It's not a quick fix, but it is the path to freedom. The freedom to be your truest, most authentic self, unencumbered by the wounds of yesterday. The next time you feel yourself reacting from a place of pain, remember this. You are not your triggers. You are not your reactions. You are the person who has the power to break free from the past and choose a different path. You are not defined by what happened to you, but by how you choose to move forward. It's time to stop letting your past define who you are today. Past define who you are today. It's time to take back your power, one healing step at a time. We are taught from a young age that love means giving and sacrificing for others. But what we're rarely taught is that true love, whether for ourselves or for others, requires boundaries. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about knowing where you end and someone else begins. They are the invisible lines that define what is acceptable and what is not, what is healthy and what is toxic. But too often, we think that setting boundaries is selfish, rude, or even unloving. We confuse the idea of a being kind with a giving everything away. The truth is, boundaries are not a rejection of others. They are a commitment to yourself. When you fail to set boundaries, you allow others to overstep your needs, your values, and your well-being. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a silent killer of your peace. Whether it's a family member demanding your time when you're at your limit, a friend using you as an emotional dumping ground without any regard for your feelings, or a partner crossing lines that leave you feeling unseen or unheard. These violations eat away at your spirit. And the longer you tolerate them without speaking up, the more you normalize dysfunction in your life. Without boundaries, you are not only giving up your energy, you are giving up the very essence of who you are. But here's the hard truth. If you don't teach people how to treat you, they will treat you however they want. Setting boundaries isn't about being controlling or harsh. It's about being clear about your needs. It's about respecting yourself enough to say, this is where I stand. Vous, so where I stand. Views that serve as create a structure that allows relationships to thrive, not suffocate. When you're clear about what you're willing to accept, others know how to interact with you in ways that honor your space. And in turn, they can show up for you in a way that's healthier and more respectful. This kind of clarity creates room for connection without resentment, for giving without exhaustion, and for intimacy without fear of being taken advantage of. Without boundaries, love becomes a one-way street, and you're the only one driving it. One of the most challenging aspects of boundary setting is the fear of rejection or backlash. We've all been there, the hesitation to speak up because we don't want to upset anyone, or the guilt that creeps in when we consider putting ourselves first. But this fear is based on a false belief that our worth is determined by how much we can give without asking for anything in return. The reality is that when we don't set boundaries, we teach others that we are disposable. We teach them that our time, energy, and emotions don't matter. But when we establish clear, healthy boundaries, we send a powerful message. I am worthy of respect. It's not about rejecting others. It's about showing them how to treat us with the dignity we deserve. Boundaries also protect our emotional and mental health. Every time we allow someone to violate our space without consequence, we create an emotional debt that we carry with us. This debt builds up, creating an internal strain that can lead to burnout, resentment, and even physical illness. When you constantly say yes to others while saying a no to yourself, you are depleting your resources until eventually there's nothing left to give. The problem is, when we're depleted, we're no longer able to show up fully for the people who matter most, including ourselves. Setting boundaries is an act of self-preservation. It's an act of nurturing the very thing that allows you to love others well, your own well-being. The truth is, the more you honor your own boundaries, the more you give others permission to do the same. Boundaries are Emotional honesty, on the other hand, creates a space for things to be aired and healed before they have a chance to grow into something far more destructive. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that our emotions are burdensome to others, that we're being too much if we express ourselves fully. But the truth is that withholding our emotions doesn't protect anyone. It just creates distance. When we withhold, we are essentially telling those around us that we don't trust them with our truth, or that their love is conditional on our silence. We are telling them that their love is only worth giving when we play our assigned role, not when we show up as real, messy humans. But love is about acceptance, not about performance. It's about embracing someone as they are, with all their complexities and imperfections. The more we show up with emotional honesty, the more we invite others to do the same. It's the same. And when we do this together, we create a foundation of connection that goes far deeper than anything surface level. Emotional honesty doesn't only benefit the family unit, it also benefits us individually. When we choose honesty over performance, we release the pressure to be perfect, to always have it together, or to live up to expectations that aren't even ours to meet. We free ourselves from the burden of pretending. But more than that, we create space for real connection, for meaningful conversations, and for the kind of relationships that can withstand the inevitable challenges life throws at us. Emotional honesty is a radical act of self-acceptance. It says, I am enough as I am, and I don't need to hide my truth to be loved. And when we embrace this within our families, we create an environment where everyone can thrive, not by being perfect, but by being real. The irony is that the more we embrace emotional honesty, the less we need to perform. We stop pretending to be someone we're not, and instead, we show up as our authentic selves. This is the key to healthy, thriving relationships, whether within the family or outside of it. The family, or we are allowing others to dictate how we feel, and we are giving away our power to control our own happiness. Healing means being brutally honest with yourself about your role in the patterns that keep you stuck, and having the courage to make changes. even when they're difficult. The hardest part of healing is often the beginning, the decision to take responsibility for your own journey. It requires self-awareness, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the things that have been holding you back. But once you take that first step, the path forward becomes clearer. You begin to realize that healing isn't about fixing what's broken, but about learning to live with your scars in a way that allows you to thrive. It's about accepting that you are not defined by your wounds and that the power to heal lies within you, not in the hands of those who may have hurt you. Benzo Center. When you choose to heal for yourself, rather than waiting for someone else to change, you reclaim the narrative of your life. You stop being a passive participant in your own story and start becoming the author. The beauty of taking responsibility for your healing is that it allows you to forgive, not for the sake of the other person. When you forgive, truly forgive, you stop giving power to the people who hurt you. You free yourself from the emotional chains that have kept you bound. Forgiveness is about your freedom, not theirs. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, and your joy. Your joy. When you heal, you break free from the past, and you create space for new possibilities to enter your life.
Guilt is one of the most powerful emotions that binds us, yet it often goes unspoken and unchecked. It wraps itself around our hearts and minds, convincing us that we must carry the weight of others' expectations, the weight of our mistakes, or the weight of things that are beyond our control. Guilt often arises when we feel that we haven't lived up to some ideal or standard, whether it's the standard set by others or the one we set for ourselves. We feel as though we've let someone down or that our choices have caused harm that can't be undone. But the reality is that guilt doesn't serve us. It doesn't heal us, and it doesn't make us better people. It keeps us stuck in the past, paralyzed by what we should have done instead of what we can do moving forward. The key to growth, healing, and ultimately thriving is the ability to let go of guilt and reclaim the space for freedom, peace, and self-compassion. We are taught to believe that guilt is necessary, that if we don't feel guilty, we aren't truly sorry for our actions or responsible for the impact of our decisions. But that belief is a trap. Guilt often masquerades as responsibility, but the two are not the same. Responsibility is about owning our actions, learning from them, and making amends when necessary. It's about showing up and doing the work to repair what we can. Guilt, on the other hand, is a passive emotion that serves no purpose other than to keep us stuck. When we constantly hold on to guilt, we are not moving forward. We are mired in the past, punishing ourselves for mistakes that are already behind us. Letting go of guilt doesn't mean absolving ourselves of responsibility. It means choosing to release the emotional weight that keeps us from growing, evolving, and living fully. Guilt is particularly powerful when it comes to family dynamics. Many of us feel an intense pull to meet the expectations of our families, to fulfill roles that may not align with our true selves or our authentic desires. We might carry the burden of believing that we owe something to our family, that we have to make up for mistakes, past actions, or unmet expectations. This burden often becomes so heavy that it becomes almost impossible to put down. We feel as though we are constantly working to prove ourselves, to atone for things that may not even be our fault, or to meet standards that were never truly our own to meet. But the truth is, no one, not even our family, has the right to place that kind of weight on our shoulders. Guilt keeps us tethered to a past that no longer serves us, and it robs us of the joy and peace that we deserve. The deeper truth is that guilt often reflects a disconnection between what we truly need and what we feel we are expected to give. When we feel guilty, it often stems from the idea that we've let someone down, either by not fulfilling their needs or by not meeting their expectations. However, This expectation is rarely communicated clearly, and often it's not even fair. When we let go of guilt, we stop living according to someone else's rules, standards, or vision for our lives. We start living according to what we truly need, what is healthy for us, and what serves our growth and healing. It's a profound shift from living to please others to living with clarity and authenticity about our own needs and boundaries. This shift doesn't make us selfish. It makes us responsible for our own well-being. Letting go of guilt is also a necessary step in creating healthier relationships, especially within the family. When we hold onto guilt, we project that energy onto those we love, sometimes without even realizing it. We may think that by carrying this weight, we're protecting them or trying to make things right, but in reality, we're giving them the power to keep us trapped. We're allowing them to dictate our emotional state, instead of taking ownership of our own emotions. The act of releasing guilt opens up space for healthier interactions. It allows us to approach our loved ones with authenticity, rather than from a place of constant regret or fear. When we stop operating out of guilt, we can show up for others from a place of true love, compassion, and presence, rather than from a place of obligation or resentment. Sometimes, the hardest part of letting go of guilt is understanding that you can't control how others perceive your actions. You may have made decisions in the past that have hurt others, and while you can offer apologies and make amends, their healing is ultimately their responsibility. You cannot carry the weight of their pain for them. You are not responsible for how they process their emotions or how they choose to view your actions. Releasing guilt means acknowledging that you've done what you can, and now it's time to give yourself permission to move forward. Holding on to guilt keeps us stuck in the past, waiting for someone else's approval or forgiveness. But real healing only happens when we stop seeking permission from others to forgive ourselves. Letting go of guilt is an ongoing practice. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean that you won't feel moments of guilt again. What matters is that you learn to recognize when guilt is creeping in and to challenge it when it does. You can ask yourself, is this guilt helping me grow, or is it keeping me stuck? You can remind yourself that guilt doesn't have the power to change the past, but it has the power to shape your future if you let it. As you learn to release guilt, you also develop the capacity for greater self-compassion. You begin to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. This process of self-forgiveness is liberating. It allows you to step into your full potential, free from the heavy burden of self-blame and regret. And as you let go of guilt, you create room for joy, peace, and the kind of love that comes from a place of wholeness, not from a place of unaddressed pain. Ultimately, letting go of guilt is not about ignoring the consequences of our actions, nor is it about excusing behavior that was harmful. It's about recognizing that we are human, we make mistakes, and we are capable of growth. It's about understanding that our worth is not defined by the things we regret or the mistakes we've made in the past. Letting go of guilt means giving ourselves permission to move forward, to grow, and to create a future that is not dictated by the mistakes of yesterday. It is one of the most powerful acts of self-love and self-liberation that we can engage in. When we free ourselves from guilt, we free ourselves to fully live our lives with intention, compassion, and authenticity. Family, in many ways, is the cornerstone of our existence. It is where we first experience love, belonging, and the roots that hold us steady in the world. For some, family is the first place they turn to for support, comfort, and understanding. For others, it's a source of pain, frustration, or even abandonment. Regardless of the nature of our familial bonds, the fear of losing those connections can be one of the most paralyzing and soul-crushing fears we experience. But often, this fear is a double-edged sword. We may hold onto these relationships for fear of isolation, but in doing so, we can lose ourselves in the process. The fear of losing our family can keep us tethered to unhealthy dynamics, stifling our own growth and happiness. The truth is, We cannot move forward in life until we confront the fear of losing our family head on and make peace with it. The first thing we must understand is that fear is often rooted in attachment to the idea of family rather than the reality of the relationships themselves. We may fear losing family because we've created an idealized image of what family is supposed to be. This image might come from societal expectations or from our own upbringing, where the idea of family being our ultimate support system was ingrained into us. But the truth is, family can be a source of pain just as much as it can be a source of love. Holding onto the ideal of family and fearing its loss can keep us trapped in toxic relationships where we are not allowed to grow. In these cases, the fear of losing family keeps us from recognizing that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is walk away from a relationship that isn't serving us, even if it's with a family member. The fear of losing family also often ties into our fear of abandonment. As children, we are dependent on our families for survival, security, and emotional validation. This dependency shapes the way we view the world and our relationships as adults. When we fear losing a family member or the connection to our family, we may subconsciously feel that we are losing our emotional and psychological foundation. But this is a fallacy. While family can provide support, it is not the only source of support. The truth is that we are capable of creating our own foundations, independent of any person or relationship. When we learn to face the fear of losing our family, we begin to recognize that our own sense of security and worth comes from within, not from others. The fear of abandonment fades when we realize that we are whole, capable, and enough on our own. One of the most damaging aspects of the fear of losing family is how it often keeps us silent and compliant. We may avoid difficult conversations, suppress our true feelings, or even betray ourselves just to maintain peace within the family. We do this out of fear that if we speak our truth, we will risk rejection, criticism, or worse, being cut off. But here's the truth: staying silent to avoid conflict is the surest way to create deeper wounds. By choosing not to confront the difficult issues, we allow resentment, bitterness, and unresolved emotions to build up. These feelings seep into every aspect of our lives, creating a barrier between us and the people we love. Facing the fear of losing family means that we must be willing to have the hard conversations, even if it means risking temporary discomfort. It's about being honest with ourselves and with those we love, no matter how difficult it may be. In the end, it's not the fear of loss that is damaging, it's the fear of truth. The fear of losing family is also deeply intertwined with the need for approval. Many of us have spent our entire lives trying to gain the approval of our family members, especially when it comes to major life decisions. We may look to them for validation, for confirmation that we're doing things the right way, or to confirm that we belong. But in doing so, we often give up parts of ourselves, our desires, dreams, and truths, in order to fit into someone else's idea of what is acceptable. We shrink ourselves, silence our voices, and abandon our own needs in favor of maintaining the illusion of family harmony. But at some point, we must come to the realization that the approval of others, even our family, will never bring us lasting peace. What will bring us peace is the approval of ourselves. When we stop seeking validation from our families and start validating ourselves, we free ourselves from the fear of rejection. We give ourselves permission to live authentically, regardless of how others may react. Moreover, the fear of losing family often leads us to tolerate behaviors that are hurtful, toxic, or even abusive. We may feel trapped in these relationships because we cannot imagine a life without them, or because we feel that somehow we deserve the pain. But this is a dangerous trap. Staying in a relationship out of fear of losing family is not the same as maintaining a healthy bond. It's simply an extension of our fear, and it keeps us stuck in a cycle of dysfunction. The truth is, family does not have to be a source of constant pain. Healthy family relationships are based on mutual respect, understanding, and the freedom to be your authentic self. If a family dynamic is toxic or abusive, it is necessary to put boundaries in place or, in some cases, walk away. This is not about losing family. It's about preserving your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. In facing the fear of losing our family, we also come to a deeper understanding of what true connection is. True connection doesn't rely on proximity or shared history. It is about being seen, heard, and understood. It is about showing up for each other authentically and without expectation. When we fear losing family, we often confuse connection with obligation. We feel that we must stay in certain relationships because of blood ties or because of what others expect of us. But when we let go of that fear, we begin to understand that authentic connection can exist, even outside of family, and that sometimes our closest bonds are made with people who may not share our bloodline. The fear of loss dissolves when we shift our focus from obligation to true connection, where love and support are mutual, not transactional. The truth is, facing the fear of losing family isn't about severing ties or abandoning the people we love. It's about understanding that true connection, love, and respect cannot thrive in an environment of fear, silence, or compliance. It's about having the courage to set boundaries, speak your truth, and choose your own path, even if it means stepping away from relationships that no longer serve your well-being. When we let go of the fear of loss, we create the space for healthier relationships, ones built on authenticity, mutual respect, and unconditional love. The fear of losing family only has power when we allow it to control our decisions. When we take back our power, we reclaim our peace, our truth, and our ability to love, not just others, but ourselves. Ultimately, the fear of losing family is not a wall we must climb. It's an invitation to grow, to heal, and to transform our relationships in a way that honors who we truly are.